yeah, I just wanted to do a live. So I'm gonna kind of just get the kit here. The kit's a little bigger today, and that's because I just did a video. If you haven't checked it out yet, I just unboxed this Ludwig, what is this? Classic maple mosaic, white mosaic wrap. So we got this 20-inch kick drum, 12-inch rack tom, 14-inch floor tom. Beautiful shell pack. I've been wanting it for a while, so check out that video. It's my latest full length video or long form video. So check that out definitely. But today I just wanted to talk about, oh shoot, a little bit of the same things I talked about on the last live, but I noticed that on the last live, I just kind of posted it and it was like a 15-minute live. And so with this live, and maybe I'll move my laptop over here, but I just wanted to talk about coming up with different things behind the drums, whether it's like you sit down at the drums and it's an issue you deal with where you feel like you're playing the same thing. So maybe you sit, and I talk about this because it's really common among every drummer, really at any point in time, is playing, you feel like you're playing the same thing. And so I just wanted to bring up some examples here with GrooveScribe and how that may help you, because it's helped my drumming. And just thinking in this way, in numbering your drum parts, you know, determining how many measures or bars you're playing, and then what the fill is going to look like, and really from there, thinking about fills and playing different fills and beats, especially drum fills, is going to help you with your soloing and everything. And so I talk about the basic rock beat a lot, and so with this example, I'll just do 2 measures here, and we'll do 1/8 notes on the hi-hat, and I always talk about this basic rock beat, but I want you to be able to kind of have some different ways to approach it. And so with this basic rock beat, I don't have my mics on my drums, or else I would have ran through the mixer, but I did this whole cool thing with all these drums here. Just really quick, want to show you. I know I posted a short recently. So this is just, you know, my classic maple, the kit I just got, and I did a video on these 2 toms and this kick drum. This is my Keystone kit. This 13-inch and 16-inch, you know, rack tom, floor tom, and this is Questlove actually practice kit that I had. So that's a 10-inch Questlove tom. But going back to the beat thing, one thing that we can start thinking about. What are you trying to manipulate? When you sit down at the drums and say it's just something that you play over and over again, or you know, something you play a lot. Maybe you could do that as an example, make it a little bit more advanced, add some hi-hat raises in there. So it was like, and so using this tool here, you can't really see it, but this is going to really help you out in terms of just being able to come up with cool parts. So I'm just like, you know, adding snare drums in there. And really, it would probably help if I was able to just share a screen and do this live with you. But thanks for joining. Yo, what's up, Skelly Boy, Senior Freak Monkey, Duck Squad. Awesome. Thanks for jumping on this live here. And so if you could share this, that would help out a lot as far as this channel goes and everything I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help drummers get better, get more creative, think about drums a little bit differently, and be able to sit down and actually get past those plateaus that everybody faces. I've faced and I continue to face as a drummer, and so many other drummers, even well beyond my skill level, face. It's a normal thing. And so that beat. So right there, okay, so you can kind of hear it there. Let me play it one more time for you. maybe you sit down and you play that all the time when you drum. And so if you notate those out, you notate out, hey, one of the first steps in getting better and not playing the same things when you sit behind the drums is to start to think about, oh, what does that look like when I'm playing that? How is that notated? And so right here, I just notated that out. And so what that allows you to do, especially with tools like GrooveScribe, this is Mike'sLessons.com, GrooveScribe, notating it out here is, I got that first measure there, that beat. So if I just go ahead and copy that beat over, which I think I'm gonna have to manually do it here because, well, actually, if I just add that. Okay, so first two measures, they're the exact same beat, but if I take that second measure and I start looking at all these different areas where I can fill in, and this is just a 16th note subdivision. Those hi-hats you're doing 8th notes on, and in between there, where you're adding that, you know, snare drum right before the third beat of the first measure, that snare drum that goes spa. That's a 16th note. That is the last 16th note of the second beat of the first measure. And so it's, if you were to notate that out, you know, it would just look like dun, 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 dun. And obviously there's, you know, the hi-hats in there and the snare. So if we take that, I'm long-winded here, if we take that beat, go to the second measure here, and we start going, okay, well, we know the hi-hats are doing 8 notes there. What if we were to maybe manipulate a hi-hat raise? And maybe we want to add a couple. And so this is where I would start, like, I would recommend just start small and then change little things. So say we want to take that first beat, that, first beat here, and then take that third hit and make that second, gosh, I'm like saying all kinds of numbers. And so all of a sudden right there, the second measure, that second 8th note, I'm adding an open hi-hat. And so if I were to go to that and play that, it would sound something like this, you know, not very different, but we're starting small because I just want to get this point across to you. Okay, so you're like, yeah, that's cool and all, but that's like what are you getting at here? And so that's where I'm like, okay, well, that's just one of the facets of this beat here. You know, we could go ahead and go, okay, well, let's add more open hi-hats then. Maybe it's not enough. And maybe we don't want to add open hi-hats where it makes sense, you know, where it's like a pattern. Maybe we want it to be like something that's not necessarily like even, you know. Maybe it's like we want to add a hi-hat at the very last beat of the last measure there, this last 16th note. Maybe we want to add an open hi-hat there. And so all of a sudden, this beat, if we're going to count out these two measures here, I feel like a mad scientist. I feel like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie's like on the board and he's like, he's got all the strings. So first measure. So all of a sudden, like, you hear that, it's like, and so we're changing up the beat at the end there. This last measure, everything is an 8th note. First beat, you know, first 2 8th notes, first 2 8th notes, you know, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note. And then at the end we go, like, let me just play it for you so this makes more sense here. Wondering why great people have low views. You're amazing. I appreciate that. That really means a lot to me. I feel like it's easy to get on here and start looking at all the comments. And like, most people are cool, and I really appreciate everybody, and I'm super thankful. But then there's some people, sometimes you're just like, man, this guy just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Some people just say some really like crazy, outlandish, like hateful things. I'm wondering why great people, dude, I appreciate that. If you could share this, that would be sick. And so with that beat, you know, we're changing up the hi-hat rhythm. So I'll just play the hi-hat of that second measure and show you what it sounds like. So what? gosh dang it. Shoot. So like that's something like if you just keep repeating that second measure, I stared into the light and I'm blind now. If you keep repeating that second measure over and over again, if I were to get rid of that first measure, now all of a sudden we have this, which you can kind of hear. I'm going to get rid of the first measure. And so we're left with and it's still based around basically that same beat. Like if we go back, we're just at the end there, that very last beat, the last 16th note, we're adding an open hi-hat. We're changing up the open hi-hats of that. So it's like, even for me, I got to slow that down because it's like, there's so much open hi-hat, there's so much going on there in that beat, and it's still the same beat, really. You're just changing up stuff. And so this is just a way for me to connect this back to what I was talking about, a way to like approach drum parts differently, especially with tools like GrooveScribe. I've got several videos going over that. And so gosh, I keep messing that up, but it's like it's like, even doing those things where I'm adding all kinds of stuff, I'm changing up that rock beat, and I'm notating it, and I'm able to listen to it, it's going to help you too, because sometimes you're like, I don't even know what I'm really playing here. What am I playing? And so tools like that, GrooveScribe, show it off again, because it's just a really good tool. And so just being able to do those. And so from there, if we were to take that a little bit more, what are we at, 12 minutes here, 13 minutes? This is this beat. So from there, you're like, okay, maybe you're thinking, dude, there's too many open hi-hats for me. I don't want that. Okay, well, maybe you want to add more kick drum in there. And so for where we had that open hi-hat on that very last 16th note there, that last note of that 4-bar 16th, we had an open hi-hat. Let's add a kick drum there instead. And so that beat all of a sudden is. And so you get a little bit more oomph with that 16th note on the last note there of that 4-bar, because it's, you know, if this is a measure here, there's 4, 4, 4, 4, 4-bar 16, 4-bar 16, 4-bar 16, 4-bar 16, a measure. And so that last kick drum there is just gonna add like a little bit more of like a oomph to that beat. And so it would just be. Like, you're just the backbone that snare and bass is just. So all of a sudden it's just like, okay, cool. Like you can start manipulating those things for those drum parts, and then some. Maybe you want to add a kick drum right after that last accented snare, you know, where it goes da, da, like where you're going, and then starting over with the first measure. And so what that would look like, I'm trying to make this like make sense for you, because it you know, if you can see that, which you probably can't, but that last note, you know, we added that kick drum there just now, here. And so, once again. But what if we were to add a kick drum right after that backbeat snare drum, the last one, right there. I just added it right there. We're gonna add a kick drum there. Kick drum. right there. And so all of a sudden this beat, that buckum bum. I have to sit down and play it. So all of a sudden, just adding those little kick drums in there. Anytime you have those beats where there's a snare drum that's accented and you add, excuse me, my kind of congested here. You add the kick drum right after the snare drum, it's just automatically like. And when you're counting, you know, you're doing eighth notes on the hi-hat, that kick drum is really considered a 16th note if we were to take those, you know, 4 bars again. And you can see it right here. If we look at this beat, we have two, you know, 2 eighth notes, followed by an eighth note, and then 2 16th notes, followed by 2 more eighth notes, and then the last one is a 4-bar 16, because we're doing the snare with the hi-hat, kick drum right after that accented snare and hi-hat, and then another hi-hat because it's an eighth note beat. The first and the third note there, and then the kick drum on the very last note of that 16th note there. And so that's where that's what I do for my drum parts, and that's how I'm able to sit down and I don't run out of things to play. I don't feel like I'm playing the same things because there's always ideas to really kind of dive more into and everything. And so with this beat, let's make it more, you know, let's add more kick drum if we want. So right here where this second beat of this measure, we're gonna add a 6. Well, yeah, I just did it right there. If you could see that, the notes change at the top, the notation. So now all of a sudden, instead of an eighth note and then 2 16th notes, it's just a 4-bar 16th note, and so this would just sound like. Just adding that kick drum once again behind that snare drum to add that little syncopation or add the whatever you want to call it. Just adds a little more color to your beat. So that's just this example. Really, I've just gone over 2 different things, and that's hi-hat raises and kick drum. And adding more, I mean, you could really, you know, if you wanted to do more, because right now we're back at the eighth notes again with the hi-hat stuff. We're back at the eighth notes, and so we could make it more 16th-esque or whatever you want to call it. And so if we were to do like, okay, right here we got. All of a sudden that first, you know, if you can see that, all I did right here was, man, it's hard to get this in view. There, you see it notated, changed? Hopefully that's not flipped either. I feel like it's flipped. So, right there, right after that open hi-hat, because it goes, we do a closed one right before that accent and snare, and all of a sudden it's a little more syncopated, and it's a little more challenging than it was before, because now all of a sudden, we're not doing just eighth notes. We're doing more. And so with this beat, it's, you know, that first part is. faster now. So that's just changing up, you know, adding more hi-hats in there, which I kind of talked about. But really you can turn an eighth note simple beat into something that's a little bit more complex when you start manipulating just the kick drum. You start moving that around a little bit. And that just, like, this beat is with the kick drum right on that first note of the first 4-bar 16 or whatever. At this point it's an eighth note and 2 16th notes. But we could manipulate that and add, so let me show you what I just did here so you can kind of get the picture there. So right here at the very beginning, we had initially, let me put it back how it was. This is how it was at the beginning there, that kick drum. And it makes the sound of the drum too when you see the notation changed, added a kick drum there. And so all I did was I said, nah, second 16th note. Now all of a sudden this up here is open hi-hat, bass, open hi-hat, close hi-hat. And so I'll just play that first beat, those 4 16th notes, just so you can get an idea. It went from this to this. So, I think I'm sitting in this chair weird. So, I'm messing up that first one because I'm wanting to add a kick drum along with that second open hi-hat, but you get the gist of it. And so with these beats, as I'm doing them, as I'm altering things in here and taking away kick drums or moving them, that's all I'm doing. Is like, I'll sit down and I'm like, dang, all of a sudden this is a lot harder than it was. And so that's where you just sit down and just slow it down and play it over and over and over again until you got it. And from there, we can do a little bit more advanced things. And so maybe I'll save that for like a different point in time. But if you found value out of this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so that way you're notified every single time that I upload videos here. I decided to just do a live today. Like I said, I wasn't feeling the greatest. But I did one last Tuesday, and so I just felt like it did really well. But also, yeah, share this video if you found it helpful. Like, comment below, and I appreciate everybody who said hi and commented on this live video. But in the description also, if you're interested in getting better over some of the things we just talked about, maybe you feel stuck, maybe you're not creative enough behind the drums and you want to get better, you want to up your drumming, you want to find motivation to practice, or you want a live, lesson with me on WebEx, on, a video chat. In the description below, there's a link to some of my drum courses, and also if you want to book a lesson, a drum lesson with me, I can help you out, I can motivate you, I can help you find a plan to be a little bit more disciplined with your practice and being purposeful in your practice and seeing results, because I've seen results, and it's no magic formula, but if you are stuck and you've tried everything, I would love to help you out. So in the description below, check those out. But maybe in the next video, we'll go more into ghost notes, and that's something that may be a little bit more advanced here, and I think it's definitely something that I've included in some of my beat videos where I do ghost notes. And it just adds a layer, even more of complexity, and turns a boring beat, and it's not, no beat's boring, but for you, you know, you maybe it's boring for you, and you just, like I said in the beginning, feel like you're playing the same thing. And so with this beat, like you can do different things, like adding those ghost notes in there. I just wanted to play those toms a little bit for you, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to have all these toms set up and everything for this video, or for any of the future videos. As I mentioned, I wanted to mic my kit up at the beginning of the video, and I didn't, so. I normally play with just 2 toms, and so this is fun for the time being. So, thanks again. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Bell notification.